Welcome to the Milk Bottle eCommerce Show, brought to you by Milk Bottle Labs, Ireland's top-rated and officially accredited Shopify and Klaviyo e-commerce experts. Founder Keith Matthews interviews e-commerce professionals, app developers and entrepreneurs to share as much digital knowledge and e-commerce tips and tricks as possible. This podcast is kindly supported by our go-to e-commerce tools, Rewind.io, the leading backup solution for Shopify, BigCommerce, Trello and more. Let's just say it's the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever get for your Shopify store and all your valuable data. Simply go to rewind.io/milk bottle to get your first month for free. Our go-to Shopify application to supercharge in-store pickup and local delivery on your Shopify store is Zapiet. It's fully customizable and scalable from one location to thousands. Backed by outstanding customer support, it's no wonder Zapiet is trusted by over 10,000 plus stores across 150 countries. Now over to your host, Keith Matthews.
Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the Milk Bottle Labs e-commerce show. Today we have a very well-known founder in the Irish e-commerce world who is one of the founders of what many believe to be Ireland's original e-commerce store, mixgarage.com. Hailing from the west of Ireland, Ciaran Crean has carved out an impressive path in the e-commerce landscape. From its humble beginnings, Mix Garage has grown to become one of Europe's leading online retailers for car parts and accessories. But today we'll focus on Ciaran's latest venture, Wave OMS. Ciaran, how are you?
I'm good, Keith. How are you keeping?
I'm good. Really, really happy to have you.
Yeah, delighted to be asked. Thanks very much.
Yeah, I can confess publicly that Mix Garage was by far one of the sites that actually would have influenced me getting into the e-commerce space.
Very good. Is that a good or bad thing?
I think, we'll talk about that after. But I remember at the time when you guys started, was it 2004?
2004, yeah. We're coming up in 20 years, 1st of February.
Yeah, 20 years. I was at the time buying domain names. And I thought e-commerce was going to kick off then. That was just post the .com crash. So I would actually say that a lot of people would regard Mix Garage as the original Irish e-commerce business. Is that an exaggeration or does that make sense?
Well, I think we're there very early for sure. You know, if you look around and see who's at the time, I mean, Daft were kicking off. But I remember My Home, Movie Extras.
Pigs Back.
Pigs Back, yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And ourselves. So like we were very early. But look, we were young and we were having a crack with it. Little did I know I'd still be here 20 years on, to be frank with you.
Yeah, no, it's a great story. So for the listeners, our international listeners who probably aren't aware, Mix Garage is probably one of Europe's most successful online car parts retailers. Well, that's how you started, isn't that right?
That's how, yeah, but we're very much car parts and accessories. But when we started, for sure, it was solely technical product car parts.
Now you've diversified because you can get barbecues online now on Mix Garage. You can get leisure wear, tents, that kind of thing. So you obviously have had a strategy to expand and increase your base. Has that been successful?
That's been very successful for us. You know, we moved into a couple of different automotive areas over the years. Obviously, we started with car parts and then went into various accessories. But like we've some really strong categories, and probably one of the strongest for us would be the travel and leisure space, which is roof racks, roof boxes, bike racks, surf racks, and that type of product. To the extent, actually, that 2 years ago, we launched a vertical brand called the Car Rack Store. And indeed, we went omni-channel and we launched our first store as well. So we actually have a retail store, which is called a Car Rack Store, where customers can walk in and get roof racks and roof boxes and get them get great advice and get them fitted, or indeed they can buy them at mixgarage.com and opt and say, look, I want to collect and fit. So we're providing that kind of omni-channel experience. But relative to our other product sectors, we took a very strong look at ourselves about 4 years ago, and we looked at, you know, a typical customer would come to us and they would buy a mirror component or a headlamp or a clutch kit, for example, which is a distressed purchase, right? Because nobody wants to buy those things. That's a fact. But we love when they do that, but they come on and then they buy car mats and a roof rack and wind deflectors and polish, etc., etc. So we rebranded as opposed to being the car parts experts, which is we thought was very limiting to reflect who our actual customer engagement to more to explore, right? And that is basically, you know, whether you're trying to fix your car, you need to explore the options for that, or whether you are going on with your kids or holiday to France, you need to explore as well. And so relative to the barbecues and the camping, etc., you know, a lot of our customers, we would probably sell about 30,000 roof racks a year, right? And the great majority of those customers are going to a holiday destination. It's a brilliant sale. Like, I love being in the store that day when customers come in to buy roof box and bars. Typically the kids, they're all excited. We're going to France. It's fantastic. And we looked at it and we went, Well, you know what? Like we know that that a lot of our customers are starting their holiday destination with us. Well, let's talk about what they're doing. So are they going camping? Are they going fishing? Are they going doing stand-up paddleboarding, etc.? Well, can we also address that as a product sector? And if we do that, will our customers come along that journey with us? And actually, thankfully, they have. So the customer who might have bought a set of brake pads in 2008 and maybe a set of car mats in 2012 might have bought a tent off us yesterday. And that's really gratifying to see.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then like, what's your physical setup in terms of, your inventory and your warehousing? Have you multiple warehouses worldwide? I often wonder, for example, you sell kayaks.
Yeah.
That takes up a lot of space. Well, so what sort of infrastructure have you got? Yeah,
well, they're inflatable kayaks, so they take up.
Are they?
So they're still big. They're still big, particularly if you've got a couple of thousand. Right?
Hold on now, roof boxes are big.
Yeah. So relative to our physical space, so we have a long-term distribution centre HQ in Park West in Dublin 12, and that's just under 30,000 square feet. We have a warehouse in Ballina Mayo in the west of Ireland, and that's just under 20,000 square feet. And then we have done a joint venture with a chap in the UK, and we have access to his inventory. And altogether, he's got about 250,000 square feet, but we have a small slice of that for our products that are important to us for the UK market. And then equally then, as I mentioned, we've got a 10,000 square foot warehouse/retail store just off the Kylemore Road for customers that want to walk in and see that product, that travel leisure product, and touch, feel, get advice and get it fitted.
So as a man from the west of Ireland, you're employing people in the west of Ireland.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. So we went looking for additional warehouse space. And at the same time, actually, my older brother was looking for a different role. So we knew that we needed space. And the thing about when you look at launching warehouses, etc., it is really key that you look at the personnel you get to drive them. They need to be really good at what they do. And that is the case with Pádraig, my older brother. So he wanted to move back west. And then we looked at it and like warehouse space is at a premium at the moment, right? You know that. And we don't have enough of it in Ireland.
Just on that, is that still the case?
That is still the case. We just do not have enough of it in Ireland. And we looked at the west of Ireland, and we found a terrific unit. And which is like a multiple cheaper than what you would pay for Park West. But to be fair, Park West is inside the M50. About 4 kilometres from Dublin city centre, right? So we've got a brilliant facility in the west of Ireland, managed by Pádraig and the team down there, and they do a great job with getting product out to customers.
So do you overnight out of Ballina to reduce the time, or is there any? Do you have to change considering you're so far out? I don't mean far out, but is there any difference?
No difference.
No
because
difference.
Any business in Ireland should be offering and should expect next day delivery in Ireland.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, whether on post or DPD or DHL, any of our couriers are picking up from Park West at 5:30 or 6, and they're doing the same in Ballina. Ultimately, it goes usually into the same
into Athlone,
right? So the same sorting, and it goes out from there. So and that's the advantage I think you have as a business in Ireland, in that you can actually particularly if you're regionalised, if you're the corner of Donegal or down in Kerry, you can offer same day delivery, and because on post, our primary carrier, has that service by default.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. So with all of those warehouses and with all of those orders going through, then you came up with the concept of Wave OMS, okay? And we have a number of customers, shared customers that are using it. And there's, I suppose over the last 10 years, I've heard of a few pieces of software that are game changing. One of them is Shopify. One of them is probably Klaviyo. For large corporations, you've got Salesforce. There is pieces of software where businesses, they hang their business on it and they take it in, and it never gets replaced. And the feedback that I'm getting on Wave OMS is exactly that. So just to the listeners who don't know, what is Wave OMS?
Yeah, I agree with you on Klaviyo. We use it. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal bit of kit. It's unreal.
Brilliant.
So with all the warehouse space and we've been running warehouses for the best part of 20 odd years. We've probably over the years, we've probably made every mistake that there is to make, right? But we've arrived at a level of expertise that we know what is good. And we've arrived at a level of efficiency within our warehouse that enables us to get orders at the door at a very low unit cost per order, which has a direct and meaningful impact on a P&L, right? It's as simple as that. So what Wave OMS is, Wave is a warehouse management system fulfillment management system. It is everything required in order to get a product from the shelf out the door to the customer in the quickest time possible, 100% efficiently. And also it means you can scale your business without actually attracting a linear cost. And by that I mean in a traditional warehouse environment where, for example, you could be printing out your pick sheets from Shopify. You tend to do a pre-print of all your shipping labels. So you might have 300 orders. You got all your shipping labels printed. You got 300 A4 sheets of paper. And in a typical warehouse, a packer will pick up a sheet or a couple of sheets and will walk around the warehouse and pick on an order by order basis, right? And that's the most inefficient way to run your warehouse because what you have is that you have a linear growth problem. So, for example, if you need one person or if you need 5 people to get out 500 orders and you grow to 1,000, well, then with the process you have in place, you need 10 people, right? So your operational cost will always be the same percentage relative to the cost and revenue for the business. What Wave does, Wave is a paperless, Wave is a paperless, 100% accurate, efficient pick, pack, ship machine, right? What we do is basically instead of actually picking all orders, instead of picking on one by one basis, we deconstruct all the orders into a real-time pick list. So you're picking for all orders at once. So to give an example, if you're going to the shelf and in mixedgarage.com, for example, let's say we get in, like we might process 2,000 orders on a Monday and we typically have about 12 people doing that, right? On average, our orders is about 3 items per order. So we're horsing through 6,000 items, 12 people, and we're getting them all out by 5 o'clock. But let me give you an example. Let's say we have an Autoglym bottle of polish and we have 40 orders for that over the weekend. So that's in 40 typical traditional sheets. Instead of going to the bin 40 times, the tablet will tell you to pick 40 at once, right? So you're picking everything at once and then you bring it back to a central sorting area. And then we've got a really cool way of sorting the product, left to right, singles or multi, reform the product, and then back to the packing bench. We reckon that we save about 90% of the labor costs on the picking side. And ultimately, going out the door, it is 100% accurate because everything is scanned at the door. So like last year, with all our clients, we sent out 786,000 orders through Wave. This year, it'll be about 1.7 million orders. And they will all be 100% accurate. You cannot get it wrong, right? And of course, you and I are being e-commerce long enough to know that the only thing that matters at the end of the day is that the customer gets what they paid for within the time that they expected, right? And that's the only thing that matters.
So let's just dig deeper on all of this. So there's a massive downstream effect to this because technically then your customer service staff will be less busy. Correct. Because people won't be emailing them with photos of the wrong orders. Also, you need less staff.
Correct.
The staff are probably less stressed.
Absolutely.
So ultimately, it's a game changer for a busy e-commerce store.
It absolutely is. And there's other elements of that. So we've got a very high retention rate for staff in the warehouse because ultimately, you're right, they are less stressed. They know exactly what they're doing. And every single one of our Wave OMS clients has a 50-inch dashboard TV on the wall and they know exactly how they're performing relative to what has to go out that day, right? Nobody is telling them what to do. It's a completely autonomous system. It's a completely autonomous system. Relative to training, for example, the system is so easy and intuitive that you can have, for your peak periods, for Q4, for example, Black Friday, right? Typically in a traditional environment, you need to get in, temps. They have to learn how your system works, learn what the product is. With Wave, you bring them in, you put on a high vis, you put on boots, and you give them a picking tablet or a scanner, and within 10 minutes, they're effective, they're deployed, right? There's like the downstream benefits are massive because ultimately, if you're not sending the right product, if you're not sending out the wrong product, you have a less requirement for your customer service. So they can do more value-added activities, for example, man the chat box, et cetera, et cetera. And we all know one of the most expensive parts of e-com is returns. Yeah. And it's sorting out returns. And if you get a product wrong, you have to make good the customer, and that's probably getting it back with an apology, getting the product back, which free shipping, send it back out again to the customer, et cetera. And that's really expensive.
Now, is Wave only the pick and pack, or does it act also as a warehouse management system?
So it's a warehouse management system.
It's the full suite.
Full suite. So fundamentally, we have businesses that, so when we talk about warehouse management system, we talk about the source of truth for your inventory, right? So we have businesses that would have an ERP, for example, and then the source of truth for the inventory would reside within ERP because that ERP has required for other functions of the business, retail stores, wholesale, B2B, etc. Right? So therefore, the only draw for Wave is for the e-com side of the business, even though actually we have some businesses who are now deploying Wave across their entire business. So it's not just for e-com, it's also for the wholesale and the B2B side. And if the source of truth for your inventory is within your ERP, typically it stays there. And then we just do a live connection where we get the inventory as it moves. Alternatively, we have other customers who want to use Wave as their full WMS. So full inventory. So goods receipt, scan in, stock movement, cycle counting, stock being decremented out, automatically feeding back to Shopify, Magento, what have you. Yeah. So it really kind of depends on how sophisticated the customer is and how big their tech stack is internally and the other draws of stock within that tech stack.
In terms of the actual setup, and let's say, for the want of a better word, boarding a customer, is there any physical infrastructure required? You mentioned the new TV, which that's no big deal, but is there any physical intervention or structure required to the warehouse? Does it have to be rowed a certain way? What happens if there's two levels, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, so again, it's horses for courses, right? So relative to the capital outlay, you need picking tablets, which are like 80 quid picking tablets, Samsung machines from Harvey Norman. You need a scanner to scan, and then you need a desktop and a scanner at the
most warehouses would have that anyway.
Most warehouses have that anyway. Yeah. You're talking about the dash with 50-inch TV, and also we reform products within what's called a push wall. So you need to create these kind of boxes, but racks can be used for that. Relative to how the warehouse is set up, so warehouses come in two styles. There's structured warehouse, and a structured warehouse is you've got barcoded product on barcoded locations. So you look at your PC and you can tell that product, Autoglym paint polish code 5678. There's three of them in location A101, right? So that's structured product, structured location. And then you have a lot of warehouses that are unstructured, where you know that there's 50 in stock, but you don't know where it is, right? Now, Wave can cater for both styles, but what we can do is we come in and we basically help you to logically look at the warehouse and how it would work currently with Wave. So we zone out the warehouse, etc. And with Wave, you can also bring your warehouse along a journey of going from structured to unstructured. So you can print out location, scan product in, you can zone product out yourself. Relative to the levels of different zones, like we have customers who might have 3 warehouses. We have customers who have 3 levels of mezzanine. But because we pick in a consolidated fashion, you could have a picker and they're just on the tablet say, I'm going to pick from mezzanine 1. And they can just stay there and pick all products that's required for all orders in mezzanine 1. And some of our customers have even put in slides and they just shove it down the slide, just come down to the sorting area, right? So the system, and we've seen all types of setups, etc. But the implementation is not necessarily just a system, because we would always say that a good warehouse is 3 things. It's a terrific team. The team have to want to become efficient, have to want to better and get more product out the door a lot more efficiently. It's the team, it's the warehouse processes. So a warehouse process, and that by I mean it's got good housekeeping. You're creating your boxes the night before. Like on a slow Friday, you're ready for the Monday, right? The tape is ready. Everything's replenished. Good team, good housekeeping, plus a system like Wave is the marriage made in heaven. Because Wave itself won't do it for you. Yeah. Right.
And it's funny the way you describe it there. A lot of people that I know in e-commerce, the warehouse is treated like just a requirement, and that's just the warehouse, and they do whatever they do. But in actual fact, if it was treated the same way as the boardroom or the canteen, you've just described how it should be treated.
Well, actually, can I say that's really interesting? Yeah. Because what we see is the best businesses that really are kind of what we would say unblocking the warehouse for growth are businesses that are really fine-tuned to the warehouse and how it runs.
Yeah.
Because, the business or the head of growth or head of e-commerce or head of operations are really tight and they know exactly what's happening and when. So like you're not introducing gift wrapping 2 days before Black Friday, right? Like that there's a process for that. It's bedded down, the communication's there. Yeah. And commercially, the warehouse senior team know why it's happening as well, right? So we're making an extra, 80% margin on gift wrapping, but the time it takes to do that is 2 minutes. Yeah. I'm going to get 10,000 parcels by 2 minutes, divide that down. Is it worth it relative to resourcing, right? So I would completely agree with you.
It's funny because we would have clients that would run a lot of promotions, and we're the first to know because the web guys need to know. But also the warehouse is probably the second to know, because the warehouse has to know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
properly run e-commerce business treats every facet and every section of the business equally. And treats, I think, the areas that maybe some people think less important as the most important. Because if you run that promotion and you don't get the orders out on time, well, then you're just going to, your customer service are just going to be bombarded.
But there's another thing as well, right? So in e-commerce, everybody, like, we would all love to have a business that's doing 20,000 orders a month and it's only single item orders.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Beautiful stuff, right? Yeah. But that's not a fact. You get multi-item orders, and multi-item orders are the most challenging and difficult to get out the door, particularly at volume with efficiency. So here's the thing, communication that we see all the time. You might have a product and the product is sold 90% of the time on its own. So customers come in and buy it on its own, right? So we would say commercially, double down on that, because that's going to take the less amount of time handling to the warehouse. So double down on that product. Yeah. But often you see market teams going, if you buy that product, get this one for half price.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, that's a multi-item order.
It becomes a loss leader.
It becomes but not just a loss leader for the product, because it could do. Yeah. But I'm talking about operations to the warehouse. It's gone from a single item order, which are the easiest to handle and process, now to a multi-item order because it's got 2 items. So therefore, it requires more touch points.
Yes.
So and you're expecting to get the warehouse delivering to the same level, but you've just moved the dial between single and multi-item orders.
Yes.
So it's that communication.
So there's a cost there that no one takes into account.
Absolutely. And I tell you, on mixedgarage.com, we have products, and we have products that we have, we call them special order only products. So we've taken a nugget from we kind of almost say the center aisle in Lidl, right? So we're best price on them. But we tell customers, we email out, right? So we've got a huge database. So we email out and say, look, we're doing a special deal in this product. It'd be the best price in Ireland today, but you can only buy it on its own because we've got to stack them high and get them at the door.
Yeah.
Right? But because you get, so when you add it to the basket, you cannot add anything else to it.
Does it work?
It works.
As a promo tool.
Right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing is that, like, it might be 25% margin instead of usually 40%, but your best price, right? Typically we'll pitch it under the free shipping level. So you're getting shipping as well. So your margin is your margin, right? Yeah. But also because it's a single item order, you can literally just through Wave, it would push pallets of them up to the single item pack bench, scan, label, scan, label, scan, label. You could have 600 products gone in the space of an hour because all you're doing, because marketing are working and fine attuned within warehousing, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So
Ciaran,
your point is very well.
Yeah, you've explained it very, very well. Let's just wait for 1 second and we listen to our sponsors. Rewind.io is the leading data backup solution for your Shopify store. Did you know that there is no way of recovering lost data in Shopify? If your store is gaining traction, you may have multiple staff or third-party developers entering your store. Mistakes can happen and data can be easily deleted. Rewind.io puts you in control of your data, allowing you to restore anything accidentally lost from a single image to an entire store. It acts as a pretty cheap insurance policy for your Shopify account. At Milk Bottle, we help clients reduce their business risk by installing Rewind in every single store before we make any changes. Get your first month for free by simply replying to your sign-up email. Over the last 12 months, I've noticed a trend, right? Online businesses who don't have click and collect are looking for click and collect. And then online businesses that are offering same-day delivery up to a certain point. I think DPD in Ireland now are running with that with some of their select customers. It may be a public service as well. How does Wave treat that priority order that it should go out first? Is there much for the warehouse team to do?
There's nothing for the team to do. As a matter of fact, relative to the flow of orders and order management to the warehouse should have nothing to do, because it should be set up and generated through rules engines, right? So the Wave OMS has 2 specific rule engines in it. It's got, number one, it's got order processing rules and it's got shipping processing rules, right? So shipping processing rules, as you know, you would know from Ship Theory, Shipster, Scurry, etc. It allows you to deploy various couriers to various types of orders depending on size, weight, destination, value, etc. Right? So they're well done. Order processing rules. So when an order comes in that has, let's say, we grab same day, an order comes in at 10 o'clock, you can actually, through order processing rules, go, if order contains shipper of grab, then set the priority to be 9, right? And immediately that order would be prioritized to the warehouse to ensure you meet your service to get that product out the door, right? So we've gone really sophisticated with the order processing rules. And again, it's because, Mixed Garage to some degree, we've been kind of lucky in that it's the ultimate test warehouse relative to the volume that we're doing. Yeah. And some of the scenarios that were built in relative to the prioritization. So yes, you can prioritize anything going out the door. So you can prioritize based on email, destination, courier, carrier, product, SKU, etc., right? So there's no way into how you can do it. But we've also expanded the rules to take in things like personalization. So for example, if an order comes in from a customer and there's a note that says, hi mom, happy birthday, love Janine, for example. We also print a label after the shipping label, which has italic writing, which covers that. And then you can take that, put that into the parcel or stick that into a card and away you go, right? Because the difficulty with personalization is process. Yeah. It is a difficult thing to do. And once you bring process into play, it's costly, right?
So that does not, explain physically how it works.
Yeah.
So the warehouse has a printer and
a Zebra label printer where the shipping labels come out. Yeah.
And it's the same size and it fits on the same reel.
It's the same size. It fits in the same reel and it comes out. So we use that for a number of things. You can actually print a specific gift note or an instruction could come in. So let's say you could have order processing rule that says, if the order contains this bit of fragile product or this fragile product SKU, add a note to the system to say, don't forget to wrap this well or add this to it.
Yeah.
And so the packer doesn't know anything about this until the order's packed, the DPD or on-post label will come out. A second label will come out to say, make sure you wrap this parcel with this, right? And then a third label could come out, which is a customer instruction. It says, happy birthday, mom, right? So the packer, relative to the process of the personalization, it should all be done after the order is packed, right? So let's say if the personalization was a bit of engraving or gift wrapping, all you do is the packer can do it, or you can literally put all the tickets into a box and shove the box to the personalization queue where that person over there specializes in that, right? But it's about process.
Yeah.
What very often what we see is that a lot of the personalization is done before the product is even picked. So like you might have something specific and it's done and that has to be added and caught up to the order, which is mistake, manual. You can get that wrong. Some of the things that we're doing is, again, in the order processing rules is that like if an order has like samples, typically sending samples out is a pain in the arse. Like as a retailer, mixed garage side, you get inundated by manufacturers say, look, will you send it out?
Yeah.
And okay, we'll do it. You put it on the packer's bench and depending on how busy he is, he may or may not decide to get out.
Yeah.
That's not a problem unless, of course, you sell it online and say, if you buy this product, you will get a free sample, right? But if the packer doesn't include it, all of a sudden, that free product you didn't include now becomes a bone of contention.
The customer experience is
gone, right?
It's gone, yeah.
But what you can do through our order processing rules is that when an order comes in and it's been processed on the way in, it says if the order contains SKU of Bosch brake pads, then basically add this brake grease for free with it. And then the order gets processed and picked normally all the way through. The packer doesn't even know that it's a free sample because it's just sent through.
So it's just picked as normal.
It's just picked as normal and follows the process. So again, what we've tried to do is based on our years of experience, we've tried to, I suppose, deploy that efficiency in a rule base where the warehouse pickers and packers do not actually know what needs to make up an order, bar the products that they're given to pack at the end of the day.
It's fascinating stuff.
It's brilliant stuff. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And all we're discussing is boxes and shipping. The shipping always fascinated me. I mean, the ability to take an online order and have it shipped anywhere in the world within 6 or 8 hours by some companies. It's always fascinated me and I'm genuinely interested in it. Just a question, something struck me there as you were talking with the personalization. You don't have any access, the warehouse management system, like if Mary Murphy from Kinsale in Cork orders 10 times and Wave OMS delivers 10 times to Mary Murphy, is there any way to personalize that customer order and say, thanks Mary, this is your 10th order? Or is that completely on the e-commerce side? I don't want to catch you out now, but I just thought of it.
So right now, no.
Yeah,
but if there's a customer that wants it, we can build that.
Well, if you could do that, then you'd have the ability to actually print out a discount code if order number 10.
Correct. Exactly.
But that's just Klaviyo in print, really, because we would do it through email usually.
Exactly. Or indeed, like again, it depends how you come to us. So if we direct connect to Shopify or you API the orders into us. So if you API the orders into us, you can send whatever, all the logic resides up the API side, of ERP side. So you can send whatever message you want to send through, right? But again, like we're starting to take a lot of them on board ourselves. So we can do that. Like one of the things we come up recently was, the way we reform orders, put them to a put box. Like a put box is a standard size, but you might have oversized put boxes for bigger orders. So we basically put in a rule to say, if the order contains more than XYZ SKUs, automatically rebuild it in that put box over there. So relative to what you describe, we haven't had a scenario yet I think that's a great idea.
It is,
I actually love that.
I'll take that. But what triggered it was when you mentioned personalization.
Yeah.
So like e-commerce platforms are doing all of their personalization through email.
Yeah.
But you just mentioned something where you can personalize it through the warehouse.
Yeah.
Like we have, we look after some of the most successful Shopify stores in the country. And, I've been in stores where people are spending thousands and thousands a year in stores. I mean, with Mixed Garage, you would have regular customers. It'd be nothing to spend €500 for me on Mixed Garage if I was to get a wing or a radiator or something. It's nothing.
Correct.
But they're valuable customers. So
they are valuable. And Klaviyo does that really well, right?
The best,
X number of orders, send the customer, what have you. They do it phenomenally well.
Yeah.
And yes, that's actually quite easy for us to do.
Yeah.
And when Mick, our tech architect and co-founder, gets back from holiday, I'll bring it to him.
Yeah.
But again, on warehouses, like I share your love for warehouses. I love warehouses.
Yeah.
Getting into a new warehouse, however big or small for me, is a treat.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. And actually, Mick is a process freak, right? At one point he had Fitbits on the guys, measuring what their steps were going around the warehouse to make sure that they're kept to an absolute minimum, because ultimately you're paying people to work, not necessarily walk. Yeah. And our entire Wave OMS process is geared towards that. It's all about working and literally bring all the products to a central area so everyone's standing locally, sorting products left to right, and then they just go straight to the packing bench or they get reformed over there. But we've literally cut down massive amounts of walking. At one point, we had one guy who we tracked him. He did 32 kilometers one day in a warehouse and Fitbit. So again, how do we break that? And we've broken that down into very, very efficient systemic chunks.
Yeah. It's fascinating stuff. In terms of Wave itself, where do you see the future? Obviously it's a software as a service, so it can go around the world. But are you just interested? You obviously have big connections in the UK, and Mixed Garage is a big market in the UK and all over the world. But is it an Irish thing? Is it a European thing? What's your vision?
Well, we think it's a global thing, because ultimately Wave OMS is a SaaS platform, right? So the fact is that a Shopify store in Sydney could basically log on today with some pre-implementation, and we guide through the setup. They could literally be packing, have a 50-inch TV with the dashboard on the wall and truck on, right? What we're doing as a business, we're growing as much as we can within Ireland and the UK relative to onboarding clients. We've just taken on just our first full-time salesman. I was it, and I love it, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And for us, it's about continuing to look at it as a process. How do we make it better and better and better? Like, for example, we connected up to like speed pack machines.
Do you put up a video on LinkedIn?
Yeah,
somebody did.
So speed pack machines, and where we actually have a side contract with the G and the Cool Camps, right? So we've the business down in Mayo actually does 3PL for that, and the speed pack machines, 2 people can get off 4,000 orders a day. But that is connecting Wave and extending it through the speed pack. Where the bag automatically comes out and the labels automatically print in the bag, and you scan them, drop them in, bang, and away you go. And you can work through that. So for me, we're only a startup.
Yeah, you're only getting started.
Right? The crack is mighty with it, really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And it's really gratifying to see and getting the feedback from our customers and to see actually how much it's really bringing to their operations.
Well, that leads me to my final question. How long does it take for people to realize that it's actually a profit center rather than a cost center? In other words, the purchase of the software.
Day one.
Yeah.
Day one.
Day one.
You will literally double your output in day one.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if you're a mom and pop operation and there's only 2 people in the warehouse, yes, you might not see that. But here's the thing. You might be doing 100, 150 hours a day, but with Wave, you'll double that.
Yeah. Once
the 300 hours a day comes out, right? If you're doing volume through, if you're doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 hours a day and more, you'll see an impact immediately from day one. We launched a business there recently who could do an average of 400 hours a day, right? First full day at it, 750 orders. And they said we would not have done that through it, purely to do with the Wave approach and how systemically, how we come at it. But also, I will admit, they're a brilliant team. They grabbed it, they ran with it, they trusted the system and go with it.
Go back to your other point about the leadership team within the warehouse.
Yeah.
The staff morale, everything combined. Your software just complements the existing structures there.
Fundamentally, like this, yes, you could have a scenario where you have the senior team within the business, which very often does not include warehouse, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And sometimes they might foist this on us. Look, we've got this. And they're kind of going, what's this? This is the next turkey to come in here, right?
Yeah.
But like the warehouse team who want to embed it, who want to grow and surpass themselves and make their life easier, and also seeing their performance on the screen, and are very much leaning forward to it, they do the best as far as we can see. And ultimately, when it goes in, there's no hiding place. So like you could have the CEO of the firm on their phone, get the dashboard, looking to see how the warehouse is performing today, right? How many orders do we leave behind? We know our top pickers, top packers, pick rate, pack rate. Everything to do with the business is available now at a touch of a button. And the warehouses who embrace that absolutely love it and get the best out of it.
Yeah. Well, look, it's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. As I said at the start, I've been following you guys for years, and maybe someday we'll talk, either yourself or Mick, have a full conversation around Mick's Garage, because that story is just one of the...
It's a little bit longer.
It's a little bit longer, but it's also, I think it's a genuine tale within the Irish e-commerce history as well. So really, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for listening. All of our episodes are available on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. A special note of appreciation goes to our sponsors, Rewind.io, the leading backup solution for Shopify store owners. Get your first month of Rewind for free by simply responding to any welcome email once you sign up for your free trial on Rewind.io. If you're a Shopify user with an exciting story to tell, reach out to the team on podcast@milkbottlelabs.com. Until the next time, take care.